Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to the show. We need to talk. The internet, your uncle, that one cable news channel serving up some wild takes. The narrative gets spun so hard, you'd think you were at a SoulCycle class hosted by a conspiracy theorist. It's a lot. And frankly, a lot of it is just plain wrong. Today, we're going to cut through that noise. We're going to take a calm, clear look at 5 of the biggest myths about a faith, followed by nearly 2 billion people. That's a quarter of the planet. So, maybe we should get the basic facts straight. So, if you're ready for a deep dive without the drama, you're in the right place. We're not here to preach or to convert. We're here to clarify. Think of this as a firmware update for your brain. We're going to debug the system and get rid of the glitches that make things crash. We'll look at what people think Islam says, and then we'll look at what the actual source code, the core texts and teachings, really says. It's about separating the signal from the noise, the facts from the fear. It's time to get a little bit smarter together. Before we jump in, do me a solid. If you appreciate what we're trying to do here, if you think clear, factual conversations are important, then go ahead and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm gods that this is content worth seeing. And while you're at it, smash that subscribe button. That way, you won't miss out when we tackle our next big topic. It's the easiest way to support the show and stay informed. Now let's get this thing started. We're gonna need some chapter cards for this, because organization is key. Let's go. This isn't about politics, it's not about pointing fingers or assigning blame for why these misunderstandings exist. Myth. Islam is a violent religion that commands believers to wage a holy war against non-Muslims. Let's be real, this is the big one. You hear the word jihad and your mind immediately jumps to sword-wielding fanatics on the news. Headlines and footage have turned jihad into a marketing slogan for terror. It's presented as a cosmic command to fight everyone who isn't Muslim, an endless war baked into the faith. This is powerful, scary, and a misrepresentation of a deep concept. Truth. Jihad primarily means struggle or striving. Its greatest form is internal. The Arabic word doesn't mean holy war. It means to exert effort. The Prophet taught the most profound jihad is the struggle against your own ego. It's the daily fight to be a better person, to be patient when you're angry, to be honest when it's easier to lie, to be generous when you feel greedy. This greater jihad is a lifelong internal battle to discipline yourself and submit your will to God. It's about personal growth, not external aggression. Does jihad ever involve physical fighting? Yes, but only strictly regulated defensive action. It is not about conquest or forcing conversion. The Qur'an permits fighting only in self-defense to protect the innocent and defend religious freedom. Rules of engagement. You cannot harm non-combatants. You cannot destroy crops or property. You cannot harm religious leaders or places of worship. Myth. Islam oppresses women, treats them as second-class citizens, and denies them basic human rights. This is a picture painted so often it feels like a fact. You see images of women completely covered, and you're told they are forbidden from education, from working, from having any say in their own lives. The narrative is that Islam, as a faith, is inherently misogynistic, trapping women in a system designed by men, for men. This caricature suggests that women are property, voiceless and powerless, with their only role being subservience to the men in their families. This is a very persistent and damaging stereotype. Truth. Islam granted women foundational rights over 1400 years ago that were unheard of in many parts of the world. In an era when women were often considered property, Islam affirmed their personhood. It granted women the right to own and inherit property, to conduct business, to receive an education. Myth. Islam is intolerant of other religions, and inherently hostile towards Christians, and inherently hostile towards Jews. This is a big one. You hear that Islam views itself as the only true path and considers everyone else to be an infidel worthy of contempt or worse. The idea is that there's a built-in animosity, a fundamental clash of civilizations that can never be resolved. This myth suggests peaceful coexistence is impossible because the religion's core tenets demand exclusivity and aggression. Truth. Islam explicitly honors the prophets of Judaism and Christianity. Muslims believe in the one same God worshipped by Jews and Christians. The Qur'an doesn't just mention other prophets, it reveres them. Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus. In fact, the Quran states, "We make no distinction between any of his messengers." This establishes a deep, shared spiritual lineage. Muslims refer to Jews as people of the book, a title of respect. Myth. Sharia is a brutal medieval legal code focused only on harsh punishments like stoning amputation. When people hear Sharia law, they often picture a rigid, draconian system that is incompatible with modern life. The word itself conjures images of public executions and a society ruled by fear. It's often portrayed as a monolithic book of punishments, waiting to be imposed on everyone, stripping away personal freedoms and forcing society back into the dark ages. This perception reduces a vast and complex ethical system to its most extreme and rarely applied penal aspects, creating a caricature that is both terrifying and false. Truth. Sharia is a broad moral and ethical framework, not just a penal code. Its primary goal is to promote justice and mercy. The word Sharia literally means the path or the way, symbolizing the path to a just and righteous life. It's a comprehensive guide that covers everything from personal ethics, honesty, charity, prayer to societal principles like business ethics, family law, caring for the poor, the environment. Its overarching objectives, known as the Maqasid al-Sharia, are to protect 5 essential things: faith, life, intellect, family, property. It's a holistic guide to living a good life. The harsh punishments you hear about, known as hudud, are only one tiny part of Sharia. More importantly, their application is subject to an incredibly high burden of proof that is almost impossible to meet. For example, the punishment for theft requires proving that the thief was not acting out of desperation or need, and the punishment for adultery requires 4 eyewitnesses to the act itself, a condition designed to make it nearly unenforceable. The spirit of Sharia is to deter crime and establish justice, but its application is meant to be tempered with immense compassion and mercy, with a strong preference for forgiveness and repentance. Honestly, that's a whole other episode, maybe a whole series. Today is about going back to basics. We're going to use simple language, short sentences, and direct quotes where they help. The goal is to give you the tools to see things for yourself. It's about building bridges of understanding, one corrected myth at a time, because in a world that feels more divided than ever, a little bit of clarity can go a very, very long way. Ultimately, Islam is a faith that is deeply and often misunderstood, frequently filtered through a lens of fear and misinformation. We've looked at 5 big myths today, but the truth is, there's always more to learn. The core texts of the faith, the Qur'an, and the teachings of the Prophet, speak overwhelmingly of peace, mercy, justice, compassion. They call for a life of spiritual struggle, respect for others, and the pursuit of knowledge. Don't let the headlines and the angry voices define a faith for you. Take the time to read, to learn, and to talk to the everyday people who live it. Seek facts, not fear. Thank you for watching.